Now let's create doors and windows for this project. So before we create the door, we have to align the UCS on this face. So I'll go to UCS and I'll go to 3-point option, align the origin here, X here, and the Y here. Then I should make the layer to keep the door frame as well as the shutter current. So I have created a layer called wood already, so I'll make it current. Then I'll draw a polyline starting from this point, and I'll just complete the profile. I'll complete the profile. Then I have to give an offset for the polyline through a distance of 6 centimeter inside. So I'll give offset command, I'll give an offset distance of 6 units, and I'll select the object offset and the side. Then I'll connect these two endpoints using a polyline. Then I'll go to P-edit, last, join, and all. It will select all the polylines, and now we have an opening here which has to be closed, and that can be done using the close option. So it is a single close profile. Now I'll extrude this profile using the extrude option, and then I'll give an extrusion height of -10 because that is the thickness of the door. So we have created the frame of the door. Now we have to create the shutter for the door. For that, you have to draw a polyline starting from this point, and I'll complete the profile by picking the corner points. Okay, then I'll extrude this profile through a distance of -2.5 units, which is the thickness of the door frame. Now when you shade it, you can see that both the frame as well as the shutter is in the same plane. So you can make out the difference between the planes of the shutter and the frame. So it will be better if you can just move the shutter through a small distance in the negative Z axis direction. So I'll go to move command and I'll select the frame, I'll select the shutter, then I'll pick the base point anywhere on the screen, then I'll give a small distance of say 2.5 units inward. Now if you just give a shade command, you can see that you can differentiate, you can make out the planes of the shutter as well as the frame. Now in order to improvise the door, to make it more realistic, you can attach some projections on the shutter. So you have to align the UCS exactly on this face by aligning the origin there. Then I'll take a plan view. You know the definition of plan. So I'll just go to plan command and I'll give an enter. So you can see the shutter in the plan view. Now I'll construct a rectangle over here starting from this point, and I'll fix the opposite corner here. Then I have to extrude this profile through a taper angle of 60 degrees, and I'll give a height of extrusion of 1.5 units. Now I'll mirror this particular profile which is extruded about the vertical axis to get a mirror image on the other side. Then I'll go to rectangle again. I'll construct another rectangle to represent another projection. Then I'll give extrude. I'll give a same taper angle of 60 degrees, and I'll give a height of extrusion of 1.5. So that is extruded. Now you can just copy the same projection slightly downwards, and you can make a small adjustment in the positions to get a proper gap or separation between the projections. So you have completed the projections for the shutter. And you can just get back to the previous view by taking the UCS to the world. So just give UCS command and give an enter to go back to the world coordinate setup, and you can just click on this particular point over here to get the isometric view, and you can see that you have made the shutter as well as a frame for the door. So this is how you make a door for the kitchen. Now we have to create the windows, but you know that when you look at the isometric, so many lines are obstructing your view, so it will be better if you can isolate the wall. So you keep the wall layer current, so you know that the wall is kept in the 0 layer. So what I'll do is I'll create a layer called wall, and I'll keep the wall object on the wall layer. So I'll go to layer, I'll give say wall, then I'll keep the wall into the wall layer, and I'll change the color of the wall layer to say white. Okay, now I would like to freeze all layers except the wall layer. So the method is just keep the wall layer current and just give -LA. So when you precede the layer command with a hyphen, you will be invoking the layer command, and you will get all the options related with the layer as in the command line. So I would like to make use of the freeze option. So you can go to freeze, you have a freeze here. So go to freeze option and just give asterisk when you're asked to freeze the name of the layer. So asterisk stands for, it is a wild character, it stands for all. So obviously you know that it will freeze all the layers except the current layer, because it's not possible to freeze the current layer, and that is exactly what you want. Now I would like to keep the frame as well as the shutter for the window in the same layer, that is the wood. So you can just enable the wood layer. So you have activated the wooden layer. So you can start by tracing the profile. It's similar to the procedure which you have done for the doors. So before that you have to align the UCS on this face using the 3-point option, and now you go to polyline. I'll trace the polyline profile, and you have to make this a wood layer current, because obviously this frame has to fall on the wood layer. So I'll go to the polyline command and I'll trace the profile. I'll just close it and I'll offset it through a distance of 6, which is the frame thickness, frame width. Okay, now extrude this two profiles through a distance of -10, because that is the thickness of the frame. Now you just go to subtract, and from the outer profile you have to subtract the inner profile, and you can see that you have made the outer frame for the window. Now we have to create partition frames. For that you have to you can go to shaded representation, or you just undo it and you can just come to wireframe, and you can just click on the endpoints over here, and this line, which is used for division, has to be stretched through half the distance of the frame to both sides, because that is what you want for proper division. So I'll just give 3 here, and even this endpoint has to be stretched to a distance of 3. I'm just doing it using the process of grip editing. So I'll just click over here, and you just take the cursor in the negative x-axis direction, and you simply type the value 3, so it got stretched in that direction. Now you just divide this into 3 equal parts. So I'll just click over here, and I'll give the number of segment into 3. Now you have to draw a polyline starting from this node. So just shift right click and go to node and draw a perpendicular here, and you have to offset this into 3 units to both sides. So I'll select the object as well as the side, and select object and side, and erase the center line. Now you have to connect these 2 endpoints using a polyline, and now you just go to p-edit and last and join all, and you have closed the bottom segment, and you have made a single profile. Now you can just extrude it through a distance of -10. I've extruded it. Now you can just copy this from here using this node point as the base point, and this is the second point. Okay, now we have a line as well as some points remaining here. Those objects are no longer required, so you can just erase those objects using a window option of erase command. And now just go to union, and you can just make the partitions as well as the outer frame into a single object. So we have made that into a single object. So now you can just shade it, and you can see what you have done. So you have made all the frames that is required for the window. Now you have to make the shutter for the window. So for that you can just draw a polyline to trace the outer profile of the shutter. So I have done that. Now you can just offset it, and you have to create the frame for the shutter. So that offset distance is actually 8 units. So select object to offset, and you can select the polyline and pick the side to offset. Now you can just extrude this outer profile as well as the inner profile, which you have done through a distance of -2.5, which is the frame thickness. Now you have to perform a subtraction operation to complete the outer frame for the shutter. So I'll click on subtract command and just select the profile. I have selected this in this particular outer solid. Then just give an enter, select the inner one, and you have to give another enter, and you have made the shutter frame. Now you have to create the glass. So for that you have to create a layer to keep that object. So go to layer command and go to new option, and I'll give a name as a wind glass, and I have to give a color for the wind glass layer. I'll give this particular blue shade for that, and I have to make that as a current layer. So I've done that. Now you have to draw a polyline. In fact, the glass sits at the center of the frame width, so you have to pick a point accordingly. So I'll pick the second point here, third point here, fourth here, and close it. Now you have to generate a surface here, so I'll give region. So I've made a surface. Now you have to look into the positioning of these individual elements. In fact, you know that this window has to be opened in the outward direction. So you have to move this shutter inward through this frame in such a way that the inner surface of the shutter coincides with the inner surface of the the outer surface of the shutter coincides with the outer surface of the frame. So you have to give move, and I'll select this entire shutter using a window option, and you can pick the base point anywhere on the screen, and the distance is nothing but the frame thickness minus the shutter thickness, which is 10 minus 2.5, that is 7.5. So I have given that distance. Now you can just copy this shutter. This is a base point, and this is a second point, and the second point, so that is copied. So you have completed the window. Now the entire window has to be moved inward along the cutoff of the wall in such a way that the outer surface of the window coincides with the outer surface of the wall. So you have to give move command, and I'll select the entire window, and you can pick the base point anywhere on the screen. You have to pick the base point anywhere on the screen. After you select the entire window, then you have to move a distance which is equal to the thickness of the wall and thickness of the frame, that is 24 minus 10, which is 14. So you have moved it and you have positioned it properly. And you can just see, or you can just call all layers by typing -LA, and you can just go for the option. You can type T, and you can just give star stands for all. So it will call all layers, and you can just go to view, and I'll set V2 as a current view, and just give OK. So we can see the window we have created in this view.